Where do you see Dick LeBeau landing here coming up? I know he's going to coach somewhere else next year. Where do you see him ending up at?
Well, the logical spot is Arizona with Bruce Arians,
Yeah.
and I think that would be the only spot. I think either he does it there, and obviously they have an opening because Todd Bowles is
going to
the
the
head
Jets.
coach of the Jets now. So they have the opening at defensive coordinator. Those two did wonderful things together in Pittsburgh, and obviously they have a great respect for each other. And if he doesn't want to go there, I think he does. He's an older guy. I think he does step away. I think that would be the only logical spot for him. And if he does go there, look out because it's going to be a well coached team.
I mean, seriously, Arians and LeBeau together over there. That's what I said. I said, obviously a lot of people say he may not want to travel out west at his age and family and all that, but he could do some stuff. They've got the pieces over there. That would be a very interesting decision if that goes down. And of course, I talked about it yesterday. The stable franchises do what the Steelers did. They had a guy that they've groomed for 12, 13, 14 years, move him up into the spot. It's what stable teams do. And I was saying the Browns here, looking for an offensive coordinator. I would love for them, of course this assumes that anybody will be here more than 12 months, for them to hire somebody with some experience and pair him up with a young quarterback coach that can be groomed to eventually, next time you find yourself looking for a coordinator, you've already got your own. But of course, that's what the stable franchises do. But where are you at with the Browns? What have you heard? There's like a dozen different names out here right now. Is anybody on the radar to you to perhaps fill this offensive coordinator vacancy, or are the Browns just going to have to wait out all the other teams' opportunities?
Well, I think if they had their druthers, it would be a Scott Linehan or a Bill Callahan coming off this year, but I think the Cowboys are going to lock them up. So then you start to get into the lower tier, and maybe a Mark Trestman would be a nice fit because I do think he is a good offensive mind.
Yes,
I don't think
he's
a good head coach. But names like Anthony Lynn and the off the radar guys. Al Saunders, Chan Kelly's off the market now. It looks like he's going to go with Bulls to the Jets. I think it was Joe Thomas who went off the other day talking about how many offensive coordinators he's had since he's been in Cleveland.
All of them. Every year he's got a different one, man. Every year Joe Thomas has had a different one practically since he started.
I mean, whoever they choose, and my top choice would be Linehan, but I don't think that's even in the equation. That would be because I just think he should be a head coach, to be honest, at the job he did with the Cowboys this year. But after that, I would think Trestman is a guy who has proven himself.
He's got history in Cleveland. There's some stuff there. I like him as an offensive coordinator. If he doesn't have to do anything else, I think Trestman could rehab himself there and then maybe get another opportunity.
Yeah, and even farther than that, he's got a history of working with quarterbacks, and that's important too.
From Bernie, all the way back to Miami.
Yeah, so because obviously you got to get somebody who can get through to Johnny Manziel. So
yeah, exactly.
I think that may be even more important than anything else. So he makes a lot of sense to me, and I think he realizes he has to rehabilitate his reputation a little bit. So that would be a great spot for him as a career if he has any intention of ever getting another chance of being a head coach. I mean, if he was able to go in there and turn Johnny Manziel around, get him going in the right direction, he'd be made again. So I think it's a good spot for him.
Yeah, he was somebody I mentioned yesterday. We've heard Matt Cavanaugh's name put out there. Him and Pettin have a lot of ties together. I could see him even coming in as a part of a package of there in the offensive coaching, depending on who gets what title. I don't know, but he runs that style of beat him down, run the ball. That 2000 Ravens style, which I say, hey, I mean that Pettin likes that. So I think he's a dark horse too. I wouldn't be surprised, just because it's hard to get somebody with any kind of a pedigree to come here with all the speculation and will I have a job in a year. I could see this being another Mike Pettin type hire, another guy that a lot of people go, well, I'm not really that familiar with this guy. Trestman's a name everybody would recognize, but he may have options as well, and he may, have other things going that he may find. It's not like coming here. It's like I got a lot of talent to work with here. Now, obviously, you hope that they'll draft some and sign some free agents, and you've got some young running backs and offensive linemen. But to me, looking at it outside of Cleveland, why in the world, if I have other options, am I coming here? And I think the Browns may end up, much like Mike Pettin, getting down to their 4th or 5th candidate on their list before they find a guy to take the job.
Well, you could be right there, because obviously they have a reputation throughout the league as not being the most stable of organizations, and that plays into it.
Right.
But whoever they hire, I think it's more important than the actual name is let's get a guy in there for at least 2 years.
Yes.
And try to build on that. I think it's important to get somebody who's going to be there for more than 365 days.
But not just that, John. Think about this. We're just looking at it in a vacuum of the Browns and their recent history, but literally the void is open because of this situation with Kyle Shanahan and leaving out. And I think for all the reasons that we talked about, if you're Kyle Shanahan for wanting out, which some of it I didn't agree with as far as looking ahead to the future and going, well, it's going to get a lot tougher next year. But seriously, like you said, you want somebody to come in and hopefully go for 2 or 3 years, but you've also got to look at it and go, am I positive that Mike Pettin, my head coach that I'm about to take a job with, will he still be here a year from now? Only because the Browns have an incredibly tough schedule coming next year and a lot of uncertainty, obviously, at the quarterback position, which also is another reason why I think they end up having to go deep on that list before they find somebody, because I just think there's so much uncertainty that even if you trust in yourself as a coordinator, I mean, you have to also consider Mike Pettin's job security and not just
you do. I mean, because if you look at the year prior, think about the coordinators the year prior.
Norv
Turner and
Ray Horton.
And Ray Horton. It doesn't get more respected than those two, even though I personally am not the biggest Norv Turner guy in the world, but as far as his reputation around the league, people love him. Same goes true. Same. But Chud was the coach, and it was one and done. And all of a sudden, those guys are moving on. So you're right. And Mike Pettin, I've talked about it since day one. You may like him, you may dislike him. I personally think he did a pretty good job.
Me too. But
there's not a lot of cachet there, and it's not difficult to move on from a coach like that. It really isn't. And, you could say it's being unfair to the Browns and him, but you have to look at their reputation and their history. And if they have a bad season, do you really put it above Jimmy Haslam to move on from Mike Pettin? I certainly wouldn't.
No, absolutely.
So it's something that has to enter into the thought processes of potential offensive coordinators.
Yeah, big one. You have to not only look at your situation, but the head coaches as well. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, a lot of these hires go down and the ranks get thinned. So at some point, the Browns are going to hire somebody has to coach the off. Well, no. I guess Mike Pettin could go, you know what, I'm just going to call him myself, but I don't think we have to worry about that. Somebody will be an offensive coordinator here eventually. John, hey, man, we've got 2 games left here to determine who's going to play in the Super Bowl, man. What do you got? You've got Patriots and Seahawks coming out of this one?
Yeah, you hate to go chalk, but, I mean, it's the two, probably the 2 best home field advantages in football. There's a reason the Seahawks and the Patriots are playing at home.
For sure.
With all due respect to Lambeau, I think Seattle's the toughest place to play, and I think in the AFC, Foxborough's the toughest place to play. So, I think the Colts and the Packers are really up against it. I think the Colts have the better opportunity to pull off the upset just because, as I said, Andrew Luck can get hot at any time, and he's healthy. Aaron Rodgers can beat anybody at any time. We know that, but he's not healthy. And a torn calf after you've just played 60 minutes against the Dallas Cowboys, it ain't getting any better this week.
Right,
so
exactly.
I think the Colts, for that reason, have the better chance at pulling an upset.
Tell you what, though, man, if the Patriots win and the Seahawks do win, I look forward to the anticipation of, okay, here come the Seahawks. They're going to defend this thing, and they got that defense and so on and so forth. And then here comes Bill Belichick trying to come up with the plan to thwart the Seahawks' opportunity to defend. There's a lot of good storylines there. All of the four, there's a lot of good storylines, man. But it'll be interesting. I think it's two great championship games. You got four of the best teams here. Andrew Luck, like, hey, man, they didn't invite me to the party. I just kicked the door in. So we'll see, man. A lot of cool storylines for the championship games. You and I will catch up next week, and we'll see who's heading to the Super Bowl.
All right, buddy. Looking forward to it.
All right, John McMullen, my man, he's with us every week here on the Sports Fix, usually on Mondays. However, sometimes we move it around, like today. It's not Monday. Hark, it's not Monday. We'll talk some more to John McMullen next week and preview his Super Bowl. Right now, we're going to take a break. Man, we are already knee-deep into this one. Let's get you some news and get my man Dan Wismar on the phones and talk a little OHIO, baby. Buckeyes, national champions. In case you forgot, I'll gladly remind you here. Let's talk a little Buckeyes. Get Dan Wismar's thoughts coming out of the game, maybe about some of this other stuff we've been talking about. We've still got Doug Plagens from the Lake Erie Monsters and so much more. Let's take a break. Here comes some news. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan talking Buckeyes next here on the Sports Fix.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear is finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
Hey, this is Scott Fujita, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck. That's QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break.
Developing story. The Raiders are closing in on naming Broncos defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio as their new head coach, according to ESPN's Chris Mortensen. Cardinals defensive coordinator Todd Bowles has reportedly accepted the Jets head coaching job, getting a 4-year deal worth a little more than $4.1 million a year. Cowboys agreed on a 5-year, $30 million contract to hold on to coach Jason Garrett. Great move by Dallas after Garrett led the team to its first playoff win since 1999, according to ESPN's Jeff Saturday.
Jason Garrett has established a program and the continuity of keeping his coaches like Rod Marinelli